Welcome to 100 Yards of Football, and this is our Legends segment. I'm your host, Bobby Butler, and tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have an awesome show for you tonight. We got the Atlantic High School class of 1977 Legends, and we're going to start to introduce everyone to you, but we're going to start with the best part of our team, and that's the guys who put their hands in the dirt. We're going to start with our offensive guard, Mr. Todd Vaughn. Todd, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Bobby. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome, man.
And that's the only
other guy is on the end. He's the bookend of the offensive line. Offensive tackle, Jamie Nevad. Jamie, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Awesome. And now we're gonna get in the backfield with the guys who get all the press and all the everything happening to them. And so my buddy, my partner in crime since the first grade, Larry Coffey, running back, backup quarterback, and also safety, Atlanta High School Eagles. And then we got a guy who we go back so far. Matter of fact, we met playing against each other. Matter of fact, the first football game I played against this guy. He scored 4 touchdowns, and they beat us. He played youth football for Plantation. And he was a great football player, great athlete, one of the best athletes I ever played with in my life. Keith Washington, great baseball player at Atlantic High School, played, I think, 10 years in the Philadelphia Phillies farm system. Also, great track guy, broke the school record in the long jump, 23-10 in high school. He can do it all, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll tell you one thing, he can flat out fly. Sure. And so we got a great group of guys here today, man. I'm excited to have you guys on the show. Welcome, everybody, to the show.
Thanks, Bobby.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you.
Well, let's get started, man. Every time I see you guys, it's like I miss you guys, man. It's just been so long. And the memories that I have of everything we accomplished together, man, I can never forget those days. And it was a special time, in Delray for us. 1977, we were undefeated until we lost that final game in the state championship game by 1 point. Todd, I'm still changing that game in my dreams every night, man, I'm telling you.
Well, you've seen the tapes. I haven't.
Okay.
I have the tapes.
I want to see the tape.
No, you don't.
I'd watch the whole year over again if I could.
We lost the game, man. I tell you, it's amazing, right? That team, that senior year, because I played as a sophomore, played as a junior. Our junior team was so loaded with talent, man, especially from the offensive end. We started talking about Elijah Davis, Mo Wesley, and all those guys, Steve Cornelius and a whole bunch of guys. We had a lot of guys. And then when we come our senior year, I thought we were loaded as well. And then right before the first game, the first thing happened in practice one day. Larry Coffey hurt his neck. And, that kind of set us back, right? And so we were expecting Larry to do a lot of stuff, but Larry, got hurt right then. And then, Keith came on, and we knew Keith would do great things, right? And then, Keith, you got hurt.
Yep.
Right? And so our skill positions, guys, everybody was going down, but we kept it going because we always had a plethora of athletes. John Hires came in and played well. Nelson McMurray played well. And I think we had a surprise, Todd. And I think that one surprise was Mr. Newman, Charles Newman, playing fullback. Maybe 160, 165 pounds?
Yeah. Yes.
After having Elijah Davis, who was about 220 in high school.
Yeah.
We go from a real fullback to a scat back fullback. And I think he held it down until Larry and Keith, came back and added to the offense, right? So, but, all that skill is great, but you can't do anything in football without the guys up front. So, Todd and Jamie, I want you guys to just talk about the offensive line we had, and a lot of you guys were playing both ways. Todd, you didn't play both ways, I don't think.
No, I hurt my ankle 2 weeks before school started.
Oh, wow.
Doing the Oklahoma drill with Davis.
Wow.
He pinned me back and I snapped my ankle.
Oh, wow.
So I stopped playing linebacker at that point,
Mm-hmm.
and only stuck to offense. But,
Wow.
Our offensive line, we averaged 165, I think it was at the time. I give all the credit to the coaching and the technique. We weren't all about size and, athleticism, but we were about technique. And that's what our coaches did. They gave us technique and we applied it. And I think that was the credit to our success.
Mm-hmm.
And I think on defense, because we held so many teams on, scoreless throughout the year, it was just pure meanness. I think the TA was just all over the defense.
Well, it's amazing. Now, when I think about us playing, this is what I see. This is what I remember, right? We scored so quick and often on offense that teams would get behind, and then they had to throw the ball. And then we had Keith Baker, Jerome Burgess, and Pinkston on the corners, man, just getting – I remember, I think we played Pahokee, and they had like minus 60 yards rushing at the end of the game.
Yeah. Wow.
And that had everything to do with they were behind in the game. They had to pass the ball, and we were sacking quarterbacks. So, Jamie, from your end, so you and Sam Dobson were our two tackles, right?
No, actually, I was the tackle, and Sam, who was a 2-year starter, in the junior year, he was a tackle, and they moved him to guard.
Ah, okay, I like it.
And then they moved Matt Huggins to tackle from an end position to make an offensive tackle.
That's right. That's right. I remember that.
Coach Harris used to always make a joke about the offensive line being the salt and pepper, because we were the salt side and the pepper side was Dobson and Matt. So he was always joking about that.
Wow.
I agree with Todd. It's all probably the best mentor in my entire life was Coach Ed Harris. I mean, he was a phenomenal man.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I know he's been touched. I know he touched everybody here.
Absolutely.
And football and all that. So it was. I give all the credit in the world to him. I really do.
Yeah, he was a great man and a great coach. I mean, we had a great coaching staff, and so a lot of credit. All the credit goes to those guys because they put us in a position to do what we had to do, and can figure it out. Who they had to put where and all that kind of stuff. So it was amazing. So Keith Washington, Keith. Let me say this, man. Let me say this. To this day, right? Every time I talk with Ricky Jackson, y'all remember Ricky Jackson, right?
Oh, yeah.
The NFL Hall of Fame outside linebacker, Pahokee Blue Devil, defensive end, right? I don't care where I am, Keith. This is no joke. When I see Ricky Jackson, this is the first thing he asks me. How's Keith Washington? That's the first thing he asked me. What is he doing, man?
He was good. I remember that game. That was pretty awesome. I remember we ran that sweep right so many times, and they were going to keep doing it until they stopped us, which I don't think they ever did. And I was beat. And I remember going back in the huddle a few times and you going, Keith, you need to suck it up, and it's coming to you again, and you're going to do the same thing again.
Absolutely.
And yeah, they wanted to tear me up. I know that.
Well, I tell you, the great play in that game, we ran that sweep to that right side, and you got the ball some kind of way. I'll never forget this. And Ricky was just knocking people down. He was waiting, and then some kind of way you jumped over his head.
Yeah.
Came down and took off and scored a touchdown.
Yeah, I remember the coaches yelling at me about that, telling me not to jump in the air, and that goes to that was all credit to the linemen, because if those guys hadn't done what they did, there was no way I was getting through anything over there. Those guys made the holes and they did everything. They were awesome.
I was gonna say, I remember going, "Are you kidding me? We're dying here," because that student body right, that Stampede right was
Stampede right.
Stampede right.
And the end block down, and Todd and I would pull him.
We'd be pulling
the 14th time. Just sitting there going, "Oh, come on! Why didn't we get in a huddle?"
Yeah.
Well, it's amazing now. I know you guys on the line were in shape, because every time I came over to the sled to do catering for you guys, I did everything on a quick count. Jamie, I can remember very vividly you looking up at me and saying, "Why you gotta call everything on the quick count? Why you always call things on a quick count?" And I said, "Man, look, it's gonna get you in shape. You got a block on Friday night, man."
I gotta protect you.
It was so funny because see, when you're the quarterback, nobody hits you in practice. Now Larry would always hit me. We had this little drill we did at defensive back, and Larry tried to take me out at every practice, y'all. I'm just gonna tell y'all, my best buddy tried to take me out at every practice, right? We used to tuck our chin. You remember Larry? Put our hands behind our back, tuck our chin, and he would try
the butt drill. The butt drill. Yeah, but what happened? What you're not telling is that before, when we played with the Rocks, we would be in practice, and then when we were playing for Bill Smith, basically running the same offense, we'd be in practice, and then you want to go into clown mode and then slam the ball into my stomach so that I'm going to fumble. So it was a little get back, yeah.
Yeah,
that's funny, man. That's funny.
that is.
Well, Larry and I don't know if you guys know this. Larry and I used to live right behind each other. And, I lived a lot of my dreams in my life in Larry's home, because Coach Coffey, before we integrated Todd, Carver High School, of course, was like the hottest thing on our side of town. And we lived within the same block of the high school. And so the high school was in walking distance, and Larry's dad was there. And, I was able to hang out with Larry and get a chance to see all those great football players coming to home. I mean, it was an amazing time. And then all the street football me and Larry played together as a kid, man. We just grew up together in this game, man, having a good time, right? Just having a good time. So Larry, so tell me from your standpoint, right? Because you've seen a lot of football in Delray, right? I mean, you was with your dad all the time. We had all those guys playing at Carver High, right, with all the skill and all the talent. When you look at the talent pool that we had, right? When you think about the 4 years we were in high school, all of us right here, but the guys who were a little bit before us and all that, did we have like the same kind of talent pool you think at Atlantic that they had at Carver?
Well, I've had this conversation with myself a lot over the years. I think that the thing that got us in trouble when you go back to we only lost 2 games in high school, both of them were state championship games. Right. And the teams that gave us trouble, I think primarily because we had so many guys going both ways to a certain degree.
Right.
And we weren't the biggest team, like Jamie was saying, Todd was saying earlier. I think size, and they were as athletic as us. Mm-hmm. So I just think, and I'm not a person that really would ever submit just to say somebody could probably be better or whatever the case may be. But when you think in terms of what their talent was and their size and then what they were able to accomplish, and we were almost there, I just think it would have been an uphill battle for us to beat them. I think that they probably were a little bit too, because they had some guys that were bigger and as athletic as we were. I think the thing about our team was that we just loved to compete. We played hard, which is what Todd was saying and Jamie was saying earlier, where we just played hard. We love playing football. I mean, it's funny how we all came from, you and I grew up together with Todd and Jamie and Keith, and you grew up playing against Keith. I never got a chance to play against Keith with the Rocks, but because I didn't start out with when you started out. But, I just think those guys were good, man. I mean, those guys were some of the best to ever play in Delray, certainly during my time and prior to my time. They set a standard that I know for me, my thing was always to try to be in the same category as those guys. I wanted to be able to say that, I was a part of helping win a championship, and we were close, but we just fell a little bit short, 14-9 and 10-11. So, those guys were just phenomenal guys, and I think they probably would have edged us out, but we would have fought them till tooth and nail until the end, like we did everybody else.
Right.
That's my assessment, and you just got to go out and compete, and they did that, and they won a championship, and we fell short.
Well, one of the things the real point I'm trying to get across is something about, and guys, I'm telling you, I'm fascinated with this. There's something about football talent in Delray Beach that's, to me, just off the chain. It's just so, for years and years, I mean, before us, we look at Carver High, we look at Seacrest, there's a lot of great football at Seacrest, right? And then when you look at, when we were in high school, now, Todd, how old were you when you first started playing football?
I started playing at Carver Junior High.
Okay, all right.
In the 7th grade.
Okay.
So that was my first experience in organized football. I wish I could have played for the Rocks.
Right.
But I did not.
And Jamie, what about you? When you played?
I played Gray Y football in Jupiter in the 5th grade.
Okay.
And that was normal. Then they would form their own association, and then they had junior high football back in those days too.
Right.
But I agree with you about the Delray thing. I think about Delray a lot. I'm proud to be a member of the Atlantic and all that. And I look at the what the Delray Beach Black community has gone through in regards to splitting the town up and sending players to Boca, sending players to Spanish River, sending players to Olympic Heights.
Right.
I mean, if you could keep the Delray Boynton community together, oh my God, it would be an untouchable team. I mean,
Right.
you knew a lot of the kids from Boca that played, and they were your neighbors.
Right.
And I mean,
And that's and Jamie, that's the point. So when I think about Carver, I pretty much say everybody's going to that one high school, right? And they had all that monster talent, right? But when I think about Delray, when we were kids, the guys that we played rock ball with, most of them went to Boca High School, right? So we didn't even get that talent. And I'm telling you, it was a lot of talent at Boca High School. I mean, off the chain, unbelievable. But we were able to do what we did together, right? Even with the talent being split. So what if we lived in the time where all of us were together? Now, it would have been tough because who was going to play and where, and I think even in Atlantic, we had the same problem without the Boca guys. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, you think about it. So when I was a sophomore, David Peel and Chuck Jones never played high school football until their senior year in high school. I mean, those guys are some of the best guys, Mo Wesley, played varsity football how many years? 1 year?
Keith?
Yeah, one.
I mean, and Keith, right. So the talent pool is just so great, right?
Oh.
And I just tip my hat off to the Delray Boynton Beach community because I'm just telling you. And even to this day, guys they got a lot of great football talent still in Delray playing football.
A lot. I'm still, I still watch the local, high school sports around here, and I'm always watching Atlantic. And like I said, when you split up a community like they have, and diluted the county with the high schools that there are now. I mean, when we all played, there was like 12 high schools in the whole Palm Beach County. Now there's like almost 30.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's crazy.
Right.
Yeah, Delray alone has 3, right?
What, high schools?
Yeah, they have 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fascinating.
It is. It's kind of a shame, but it's and I think competition breeds competition. I think it's only going to make you better.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, just what we have here in the room, right? Me, Larry, and Keith, we after high school, we got a chance to go on and continue our sports career. Larry went up to West Virginia, played running back up there, and up in West Virginia West. And then, of course, I went to Florida State. And Keith went and played pro baseball. Keith, was it for 10 years?
Actually, it was 7, Bobby. I played 7 years with the Phillies.
Okay,
in the minor league system.
Okay, and then I remember getting that phone call from you. And
you got to remember, I was young. When I graduated high school, I was 17.
Oh wow!
I left high school when I was drafted by the Phillies. I was 17. I didn't turn 18 until that October after my senior year of graduating. So I was pretty young. I probably should have stayed in high school 1 more year. It might have been a big difference. But yeah, I remember getting out and just feeling like I still should be doing something. And you were the one. I was like, man, I got to call Bobby and find out if I'm just crazy or if I should even pursue this thing at all. And you were like, yeah, I think, you got a chance. Give it a shot. And then, you hooked me up with the that agent.
Mm-hmm.
Was Steve Austin? Was it your agent?
Yep.
Steve Austin.
Uh-huh.
And had me come in, and he, just had me run at Georgetown, and said, "Yeah, you can catch, you can run, you can jump. You got a shot. Let's see what you can do." And it was fun. I had a chance. It was tough. I was in a uphill battle the whole way. Obviously, not playing football since high school, and I wasn't the biggest guy in the world, so I didn't have the weight and everything else. But I had a fun time. It was a good run for a little while.
Well, I tell you what was so funny, right? So I'm telling the agent about you, and I say this dude gonna run like a 4.3 40, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said, man, there's no way this white guy. I said, man, I'm telling you right now, he's gonna run a 4.3 40. and he went down to the Dolphins camp, Larry, and had a faster 40 time than Duper and Clayton.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I actually went out and watched him practice because I had already injured my knee, so I was done playing. And Keith and I actually, it's funny. Keith, I was at practice, and Wendell Thomas was with me, and I was watching Keith on the field. They were doing going through practice, and then they started doing special team stuff, and then Keith is still kind of roaming around, and he wasn't included in anything. And I told Wendell, I said something's not right here because he's not. Obviously with Duper and those guys, they're going to obviously be the guys that's going to be going on offense. But when you don't get placed on any kind of special team stuff, that's, as that's not good. So after practice was up, he and I and when we went out and I told Wendell that something's not right here. So we went out and Keith was like, yeah, they don't have me on anything. And I said, yeah, that's things are not going in the right direction. So. We didn't talk anymore after that because they were at St. Thomas then, and but I think you ended up going to Canada, didn't you, Keith?
Yeah, I actually went to the Edmonton Eskimos. I stayed pretty long there. I mean, I did really well, for a guy just walking on. I wasn't a draftee or anything, and I think I was the cut before the last is when they let me go. So I got to stay, from a lot of guys that were drafted, and then Shula brought me in and said, "Hey," he goes, "we were really impressed with you, but that year they had actually gone from a 49 man roster, they dropped it down to a 45 man roster. So the cards were against me then too. So you got 40 nowhere." I got
caught up in that kind of numbers up with the Giants and then the year before with the Steelers. So I tell people all the time, there are so many guys that's walking around the United States of America that have the ability to play professional football. There's just not enough jobs, and the reason why these other leagues can't survive is because they can't put the television money together on a consistent basis. But there's a plethora, using Bobby's word from earlier, of football players. It's just that the money situation is what it is, and you got a lot of obviously some of the best talent playing in the NFL, but there's a lot of guys just walking around that I know that can play in that league, but it's being in the right place at the right time and having people put that money in the back and in the support behind you, and it's what it is. Everybody's not gonna make it. That's the bottom line.
Well, that's true. And then I don't care how long you play, your day is numbered, right? I mean, the average career in the NFL is 3.5 years, and it hadn't changed forever. And so it's just it's a tough business. And even when you get a chance to play as long as I did, man, I never forget. After my 12th season, I get this phone call. I'm driving down the highway, and it was the owner of the team calling me. He said, "Well, Bobby," he said, "I want to thank you for everything you've done. You've meant a lot to us, but we're going in a different direction." And I'm telling you, man, I thought the world was coming to an end.
Yeah.
I played 12 years. At the point, I was like, "Well, dude, I still can play. What do you mean?" And so that day comes for everybody. But anyway, I'm gonna tell you right now, guys. I played a lot of football. I played youth football with you guys. I played high school football with you guys. I went on to go to play college, and I played 12 years in the NFL. But the very best time of my life is playing with you guys in high school, man.
Thank you.
I can never forget our team and what we did together. It was just so special because when you leave and you go to another level, and when you see that, there's no unity in a team like we had in high school, you really start to cherish those moments. Yeah. just how we blended together. We had no issues with each other. We never had racial tension at our high school, right?
No.
We played football. We all came together, right? And nobody had an issue with me being a black quarterback, anything like that. We was just playing ball, right?
Yep.
We were just playing ball, having a good time, and winning and being successful at what we did, right? And so because of that, we have this bond that will never change.
Yep.
You know, when I think of you guys, I just start smiling and laughing, right?
You know what? I've thought about that over the years. I think one of the things that makes high school football probably more special than even when you go to college and then if you have the opportunity to play professional, for the most part, you've grown up together through neighborhoods, through elementary school, to high school, to junior high, to high school. And when you go to college, it's a 4-year deal.
Right.
At max, and then whatever time you have in the NFL. To me, I've always kind of thought about that. To me, that's the thing that I kind of pinpoint. I think that as a result of having been a kid from elementary, from kindergarten to high to middle to elementary to junior high to high school, we grew up together and we developed our personalities and so forth and so on. And I think that's the bond that makes high school football so special. That's just my opinion.
Well, I want to ask all 4 of you guys the same question. I want all you guys to answer this question. What is your favorite moment about playing high school ball together?
Who wants to go?
Todd, start with you, Todd.
Sorry, my granddaughter was leaving.
Oh,
Had to
okay.
give his goodbye.
Well, Bobby,
Favorite or high school? You're saying, Bobby, or football, or just high school in general?
High school, all of it. Our whole time in high school and playing together. Well, I mean, what is your favorite
I think it's the friendship. I mean, look at this right now. We're 40 plus years, and we're still in touch with guys. Like we see on the screen right here. Like Larry said, I think that high school is a special bonding time for us. That's when you're turning boys into men almost, and it's a time where we experience a lot of things together. And it's amazing to me that you bring up the racial thing. I don't recall anybody ever having a problem with any kind of racial issues while we were in high school. Do you? I mean, if you do, I don't remember it, but I don't remember any of us ever doing anything like that.
Not even on the team, in the school even.
No, never.
And I think that's where sports, especially football, really brings a community and especially a school together, because they have one thing in common, that's cheering and winning.
Right.
And we accomplished that as a team.
I tell you what, I'll never forget the beat tag parties, the sign painting parties. and I'll never forget, man, being on that stage for pep rallies every Friday.
Oh, the pep rallies.
School was every Friday. And Reverend Carney would get that microphone and he'd go to preaching, man, and it was a rap.
Mr.
It was a rap. I mean, the whole student body wanted to suit up, man, and go play, man. He just had us so fired up, man. It was nothing like that time for me.
Yeah. Nope.
That's the truth.
Bobby, until you just said it a minute ago, I never really thought of you as a black quarterback.
Wow.
I know, I'm saying the same thing.
You said that, and I'm like, that did not register. And
Right.
I'm like, because we did have unity. We did have a community spirit, a brotherhood spirit. All of us were one team. We had one goal, and color was not an issue in the classroom or on the field. And like you were saying earlier today, that Boca had an issue. My wife grew up in Boca. They had issues there, but Delray was solid in that respect.
You know what? I think the thing that helped us at Atlantic, and I agree with what you guys said, there was never, to my knowledge, any racial issues on the team or in the school. I mean, everybody, every school has people fighting and this and that and the other just because things happen like that. But it wasn't a racial thing. I think the thing that helped Atlantic was the fact that those of us that came from the community of Delray, of Carver Park, and so forth and so on. I think the success that Carver had, and the success that Seacrest had bonded us because football was a major component of the community as well as the school.
Mm-hmm.
And we just had that bond and we had that in common. I mean, look at society. You have people that will not agree on issues, whether it be politics or race or religion or whatever the case may be, but then you turn the Olympics on and then you become a fan of the person that's got on the colors of the United States. I think that the fact that the Carver community and the Seacrest community, football was a unique bonding experience, and we just saw each other in a manner that we just meshed into that. And like you were saying, Boca had so many problems down there. I mean, they had to shut the school down there for a while because of the things that were going on.
They did.
It was just one of those. That's how I explain it, but other people may have a different opinion on it.
Well, even to take it a step further, I mean, on every Friday night, you're talking about a melting pot of all ethnicity at our football games, and still no fight, no nothing.
Right.
You're talking about 3,000 to 5,000 people showing up every Friday night at our football games and watching high school football, and no problems, even in the stands. I mean, it's really a testament to a great community.
Yes, I agree. I saw something today, guys, that I'm going to have this guy on the show maybe next week. I think we may do it next week. He played at Carver High, Larry, and I think he graduated in '66. And so we were talking about, Anthony Penn and Greg Dobson years, right? He said Mr. Pompey had 3 consecutive undefeated teams, but they didn't get a chance to play for anything because they were not allowed in the state system, so it's playoff system, right? And so he showed he took some pictures of some old program. Now, we're talking about Carver High in 63, 64, 65. These programs, the sponsors were from the white community. In the early 60s. And I looked at that and go, wow, that's powerful right there, right? So that Mr. Pompey and Carver High had support in Delray from the white business community. That it don't get any bigger than that. If somebody's putting their money behind you, just saying, okay, we're with you guys. To me that
Delray Beach. You're Delray Beach.
Delray Beach, absolutely. So I'll tell you, I'm proud of our history. So I can't wait to get this guy on the show to talk about Mr. Pompey because most of us didn't know anything about Mr. Pompey other than he was a principal at one time.
Right.
Well, I knew he had some teams.
Yeah.
I like I said when we talked a little bit earlier today, I didn't know the number, but I knew that he had been a football coach. Well, I knew because my dad talked about it a little bit.
Okay.
So I knew that Mr. Pompey was a football coach and that he had some teams. But like when we talked to Anthony a few weeks ago, it wasn't until they started playing that they included the black school statistics into the Florida high school statistical, just making sure that was people were aware they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
So all of that stuff was pushed by the boards and nobody was really made aware of it. But unfortunately for them, they were not allowed to be recognized for what they were doing. But progress is what it is. And when 68, 69 and those years came about, they were included. And now, those things that those teams did were recognized. And obviously it did a great deal for the African-American community in Delray. But for Delray and football, like I told guys that I went to college with, when we grew up, football was king. And it didn't really matter what part of the football was that galvanizing thing. We all loved it. And when we went out, we just competed. And like Todd was saying, and Jamie was just saying, it dawned on them. They didn't see you as a black quarterback. They just saw you as a quarterback. We saw each other as teammates. I remember Keith get me in trouble with Coach Wilder before a game because we wanted to go scrambling. And then we got back late to get on the bus to go to Pahokee, the game that you guys were talking about. But we were just friends. We were just people.
Right.
We were just, you got decent people in the world, and we just all kind of think we're in that environment, and it helped us. And we just really, it was a great experience. It was really.
I tell you guys, you know, we don't have a lot of time, and I wish we can do this all day, but I got to ask, I want this to be our final question. I want everybody to answer this question. Tell me your story about Coach Carney Wilder. I want everybody to tell me something, and I'm gonna start first. I'm gonna tell you my deal with Coach Wilder, and I want everybody to tell me, you know, about Coach Wilder in your life, right? So, you know, I played as a sophomore. I was 135 pounds, Todd, and I played free safety, and, you know, I was a backup quarterback to his son Lee as a sophomore. And then my junior year come around, and I'm playing quarterback now, right? And so in practice one day, at the end of practice, we're running wind sprints, and you know, I'm in the middle of the pile, and so after practice, he made me stay behind, and he said, "Look, I need to ask you a question." I go, "What's that, Coach?" He said, "Are you the fastest guy on the team?" And I looked at him like, "Come on, man, you know, who else out here can outrun me, right?" And so he said, "Well, how come you're in the middle of the pack when we're running wind sprints?" Then he said this to me. He said, "Are you my quarterback?" I said, "Coach, yeah, I'm your quarterback." He said, "Well, son, I'm gonna tell you right now, if you will lead out front, be a great example, these guys will follow you anyway." It changed my life.
Yeah.
That changed my life, and I was never in the middle of the pack again. I don't care on what level I ever played on. I went to Florida State as a freshman, running in front of all the seniors, man, and they hated my guts. You know how that could be there, right? You know, you throw the seniors up, a little freshman, you know, coming. I never got in the middle of the pack again, and he taught me so much about leadership. You know, he was a great coach. He was a great motivator. He had the best pregame speeches. He knew how to motivate us. I'll never forget this. We were playing somebody our senior year, and we were in the IV room getting ready to watch half a film before we went to the field, like we did every Friday night at a home game. And so I left my mouthpiece in the locker room, so I had to run back. I know I had to go there and get back before he got in there, right? So I run to the locker room, and I overheard him talking to the coach, you know, the team we were going to play, and they're talking, having a good time, laughing. They're all buddies and all that kind of stuff. Well, I get back to the room, and I'm sitting there, and then he comes in. He's red, and he's pacing. He's saying, "That freaking coach," he's saying, "you guys are too small. You can't do this, and they're going to run the ball up your throat today." He picks up a table, throws the table, and I'm sitting there going like, "That son of a gun, he's lying." He's lying. But we all got crazy. I think Baker was leading everybody. You know?
Yeah.
And we go, and I said, "This guy, he'll use anything to motivate you, right?"
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna say this, and I want all you guys to speak. Coach Harden told me this once. For you guys who were on the team as a junior, we played John I. Leonard, and you know Carlos Carson was the guy, and so they had this big article in the locker room. Jamie, I don't know if you remember this, and they called him Magic Man, right? And he was talking about how he was going to run all over the defense and da 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 da. And so they used that the whole week to motivate us. It was like the press clipping, you know, on the wall. Well, I found out years later that wasn't in the Palm Beach Post like they had said it was. They did that at the school paper and just wrote some stuff in there as if Carlos Carson said it. And we were reading that crap, slobbing at the mouth, couldn't wait to the game.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, man. Just unbelievable. Things like that, man. I mean, he was off the chain. He was off the chain. So that's my Carney Wilder story.
Well, just, you know, expound on that. You know, get you riled up. Somebody stole the eagle. You know, Lake Worth High came and stole the eagle. You know, and yeah, you know, and then you find out it was Tim Twilly and Matt Offer and all these other guys grabbed it. And he's like, "We're going to get it back, and we're going to prove it to them, and we're going to." Oh my God! They came on your property. They came on your side and stole your eagle. And here it is at Carney's house.
Yep. That
was him, man. That was him. Todd, you got something, Todd?
Yeah. Growing up in a Christian home, the biggest thing that inspired me about Coach Wilder was every Friday, I don't know if you guys remember this or just something that I would catch on to, but he would encourage everybody to go to church on Sunday. And that just, for me, for him to, the importance of knowing Jesus as your Savior, right, to go worship. Football's cool. You can get you places. Get you out of trouble, but whatever. But go to church on Sunday, and there's many stories about Coach Wilder that are just fantastic and funny. But that's what sticks every time I think of him. That's what sticks in my mind about the legacy that he would leave.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Keith, what about you?
Well, actually, I didn't get a lot of time with Carney, to be honest with you. I was, I only played the 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
And, I know he always had his little nickname, Sunshine, and that stuck in my head because that's what he always called me. He never called me Keith. He said, "Hey, Sunshine, how you doing?" And he'd give me a hard time all the time, when he saw me. But, he basically, the same thing came across like Todd said, going to the church and everything, And I think that helped a lot of the people in the community and the team, just seeing that. And I think it went a long way with him and a lot of the players.
Right. Exactly. All right, Larry.
Well, my Coach Wilder story is the total opposite of what Bobby was saying. You know what? I've always been a self-motivating person when it came to football. So I would sit there and watch what you said. You said you saw him out front talking to the guy, and after having played, had the opportunity to play for 2 years. I'm going to say this: the thing that I liked about Coach Wilder, the thing that I thought that he and I had in common, and I remember during my time as head coach over at Glade Central that first year we went over, and the reporter kind of interviewed me a little bit before the game, and Coach Wilder was a competitor, and Coach Wilder wanted to win. And that I was over the moon with that. But I never really needed anybody to try to motivate me to play football. All you had to do was say, well, this is game time. Let's go. Right. So when we would be in the AB room and he would be going through what in my mind was the shenanigans because he was going to slam the table. He was going to kick that can. He was going to turn the table over and we were going to run out. And I would sit there and say, here comes the table, here comes the can. And then when we run out. And, for some people that got them, I never got me going. I'm just, but I love the thing. One thing I loved about Coach Wilder, fierce competitor. And he wanted to win. And we had that in common. I can tell you that.
Absolutely. I tell you what, all of my great coaches, I played for a lot of guys. But I learned so much from Bump Mitchell, number one. Number two, Coach Wilder, Ed Harris, and Coach Baldwin, right? I had so much respect for Coach Baldwin, because he was a Marine. He was a no-nonsense guy, right?
He was mean.
We
went to church together.
You could do a whole segment on his guy.
And so, but then again, there was a guy who always said this about this guy. He coached me, but he never coached me. And that's Coach Larry Coffey, Larry's dad. I never got a chance to play for him. Yeah. But just his life, what he means to me, I can listen, me and this guy, I can tell you things about his daddy. He don't even know about the relationship me and his daddy had, with some things and how he really touched my life. And it's just amazing. So he always had great advice for me. He even helped me in the recruiting process when I went to college, right? And so just and guys like that, Coach Bobby Butler, Coach Jack Stanton, who was the defensive coordinator, DB coach at Florida State. We just lost him this year. We had his guys. I've been to 6 funerals this year.
Yeah,
6 funerals this year. It's just one of those years, and so losing a lot of great people, but they live on. Their spirit lives on through us. The things that they taught us and the things that we learned. Matter of fact, things that Carney Wilder did in my life. I passed on to my 4 boys, right? Because I coached them, Keith, when they were like little dudes, right?
Oh yeah,
the best time of my life, man, coaching those guys, right?
Yeah,
and kind of reliving the whole Delray thing and how I grew up and all that kind of stuff. Well, listen, man, we can do this all day. Matter of fact, we need to come back and do it again because an hour of 45 minutes. There's really not enough time for us. You know, we can sit here and do this all day, right?
Right.
So listen, I want to thank you guys for coming.
You know what? But you guys all said something, and you guys brought up coaches and so forth and so on. I would be absolutely remiss if I didn't say, and his name's already been mentioned, but Coach Harris was
Yeah.
it's fun. You know, to me, he was my coach, but he was my friend, and he helped me so much when I went to Glade Central. So, you know, like you said, Coach Baldwin, nobody said anything about Coach Henson. In fact, I was in practice the other day, and I was telling, you remember how Coach Baldwin was something with Coach Henson when something was good, just like chicken and cake. I said that the other day in practice, and the kids looked at me like, what are you talking
What's
about?
wrong with you?
I tell you, I love Coach Harris. He was so great. He stuck up for me with the track with Jay Rader. You know, because Jay Rader didn't want me to run track while I was doing baseball.
I can imagine.
Both overlapped. They were together, and I'll tell you what, Coach Harris fought for me, and he put it down and said, "Listen, this he's running with me. He's doing it with me," and he yanked me right off the field at Pahokee in the middle of a baseball game to jump on track because we didn't have anybody. We weren't, you know, we needed the points, and he wanted me to do it. And it just so happened I missed the first 2 jumps. I got disqualified. They finally got Jay to let me go because we were winning like 16-0. I jumped the fence in center field after the 3rd out, got changed under the bleachers, jumped my 3rd jump right as they were calling my name, and I broke the school record that day, 22 in Atlantic for that. But I mean, if it wasn't for Coach Harris, and I had him as a teacher too, he was a great man all the way around. I mean,
he was a great math teacher. He was a great math teacher.
Yeah.
Like Keith, did you win state in the long jump?
Actually, what happened was, don't ask me how. You know me, I don't play basketball. That's one sport I didn't do. Somehow or another, and I don't know who I was playing with, but I played in the gym about 5 days before the state tournament, barefooted. And I jumped up, and I was trying to dunk a volleyball because I couldn't palm a basketball. I was palming a volleyball, jumped up, and I did, and I came down on my heel, and I bruised my heel real bad. And I don't know if anybody's ever done that before, but it hurt really bad. So anyways, make a long story short, they did it in alphabetical order for the long jump. Before I jumped Washington, last one, I was actually the last guy to jump.
Wow.
The record had been broken 5 times before I even jumped my first jump.
Wow.
And what happened was if you jumped, they'd call an official over. So I jumped my first jump, and when I jumped, I knew I jumped a pretty good jump. And the guy said, "Go get an official." And I knew I had broken the record, but I couldn't even jump the next 2 jumps. My heel hurt so bad I couldn't even. And believe me, that's one time Coach Harris was not happy with me. He was not happy with me at all. So that's when I jumped to 23:10 1/4. And
that was a heck of a jump, man.
And they broke that, and they broke that again. I think I came in 4th place in the state, Bobby.
Oh wow!
I remember that.
That's crazy.
I remember that, Keith. I remember that.
Crazy.
I remember that.
That's crazy.
I wish I hadn't done that, but anyway. And I still think it's at Atlantic today.
Oh, it's still a record in Atlantic, no doubt.
Is it?
It's still a record, right?
That's a So what?
You know, I always, you know, when we were in high school, you know, we had it like we've been saying. I know we got to go, but I want to give these 2 guys some props because, you know, to me, Mo Wesley was he was just a phenomenal athlete. Played across the board, football, basketball, ran track, and so forth and so on. But our senior year, Bobby and Keith were, in my opinion, the 2 best athletes that we had because of your versatility, and you guys really were competitive and accomplished. And you know, my thing was I was one-dimensional. My whole focus was on playing football, but and then like you said before, you know, when I got hurt, I had the concussion, the neck injury, and the back injury. So I was really disappointed with my productivity, my performance in my senior year. But I always, you know, I'm glad I got you 2 guys. I talk to Bobby all the time, but I'll never let him know. I never said this to him before, but you 2 guys were the best athletes that we had our senior year because you guys you guys set standards, and you guys really, for me, you know, just was somebody that really that I appreciated being around. I mean, being Bobby just We boys.
Right.
Keith, I hated Keith because he was playing with the little boys and killing them, and he doesn't play with us when we played with the Rock. But Keith was an athlete. Man.
Hey,
you a great athlete.
Bump wouldn't let me go. Bump wouldn't let me go. I'd go over his house and have dinner. I used to spend the night at Jerome Burgess's house all the time and eat with him. All the time.
Wow.
And you were over for me because I lived on 13th and Jerome lived on 14th.
On 14th, that's right.
Yeah, exactly.
And Bobby lived on 12.
I lived on 12, right?
Hey, I'd leave school from Carver and walk to his house.
Wow.
And we'd hang out the rest of the day and
There we
eat. His
go.
mom would cook for us.
Wow.
There you go.
Well, listen, guys, we got to cut the show. Hey, listen, thanks for coming on. We're going to do this again, right? Because we got so much to talk about. We got to do it again. Jamie, man, love you. Thanks for being on the show. Todd, man, I love you. Thanks for being on the show. Skeets, keep watching. I love you. Hey, matter of fact, Cody Nevad want to know how you still got your hair. Larry Coffey, my boy. Larry Coffey, I love you, man. You know, we've been boys since the first grade and been knowing each other our whole life, man. So love all you doing, man. And thanks for your time.
Take care, guys.
So, guys,
Love you guys.
if you like the
Just
video,
you guys, man. I love you. One love.
comment, share it. 100 yards of football. Thank you again, guys, for doing the show.
Thank you.